Welcome to another Quick Queries Friday. This is number 52, brought to you by accesslearningzone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. What's a Quick Queries video? Well, it's where I take all the questions and comments and posts and stuff sent in over the last couple weeks, and they don't necessarily need a video by themselves, so I put them all together, and that's called Quick Queries. Let's see what we got today. First up today, a couple comments from the forums on my website. Peter says, all of a sudden I'm getting an error message when I try to run a query in design mode. Executing selected SQL text is only supported in the Monaco SQL Editor. Now this happens when you try to highlight and run only a part of an SQL statement in SQL View. Access doesn't support that. You have to run the entire query. Save it, close it, open it, right? Monaco is a new SQL editor that does allow running a selection of the text, just like SQL Server does, but it's still buggy. Personally, I'm not even using it yet. So if you want to roll back to the older version that's got the classic old editor, you'll find instructions in this video. In the meantime, if you're working with long or complex queries, try just breaking them up into smaller saved queries and then building on them incrementally like I show in my videos. You can make queries that are based on other queries. You don't have to try to cram it all into one big query. So the Monaco editor's coming along. It's looking nice from what I've seen online, but I'm still not using it yet in my development databases or in my classes yet, because there's just some bugs still that I have to work out, just like all software. That's just part of the nature of the game. Next up, John. He's using my Access Updater and backup templates successfully. He wants to know how he can back up his admin front end, which is located on his local PC, without having to push it out to the other front ends, so that it gets picked up in the backup at 4 a.m. Now, personally, as I replied here, I use Google Drive for that. And you can set up your database folder to be backed up by Google Drive's backup feature. And that way it'll just copy it up to the web. It also retains version history. So if you realize that you messed something up 2 days ago, you can still go back a couple versions and grab that copy of your database. Now, I always stress that you should not run a shared Microsoft Access database out of a shared drive folder like OneDrive, Dropbox, Google Drive, all that. Don't share your database there and expect people to run that database. No. But as far as your local dev copy, the copy that you build on before you push it out to your network, you can have that folder backed up by Google Drive. And if you want to learn more about setting up Google Drive, I cover it in this new PC setup video. It's in one of these in here. I cover a whole bunch of stuff. I basically set up, this is 4 years old, so I set up a new Windows 10 PC, but it's all the same stuff for Windows 11. Right, here's Google Drive, Google Backup and Sync, Chrome Remote Desktop. I still use all of this stuff today. Next up, Sehan is building a database and has a products table. And he wants each product to have a unique code made by concatenating 3 text fields, like category, subcategory, sequence, like he's got listed out there. Now, as I said here, I strongly recommend against calculated fields in tables. I don't like them. I suggest you use a calculated field in the query instead, and don't build relationships on that calculated field. Instead, use auto numbers for your keys, and then build your product code via the query, or you can make your own product code and save it in the table, but don't use that as your primary key. You can have that as a separate identifier. In fact, in my customer codes video right here, I explain how to do that. If you want to make your own custom code, because you don't want your customers seeing that they're customer number 4, for example. So this video shows you how to make your own custom customer codes, right? Because then you run into the German tank problem where the customer can see he's customer ID 15, right? But there's lots of different workarounds, and these videos will explain a lot of that stuff for you. But don't use calculated table fields. They're bad news. Trust me. Next up, by email, Rick, cool name, asked me, I'm merging several old databases. If I assign a GUID to each person, should I copy that into the related tables to track the same person across systems? All right, for those of you who don't know what a GUID is, it's a globally unique identifier, and it's a big, long number text string that looks like that. And it's basically used so that if you were to assign any 2 items to a unique identifier, the chances of you actually duplicating it in realistic use is, like 1 in billions. I cover the actual math in this video. But Microsoft Access does work with them. They're called replication IDs. You can set them in the table properties. And again, this video goes over the differences. But basically, if you're working with just one access database, I'd say no, use an auto number. It's simpler, it's faster, it's smaller. But if you're working with separate individual databases, that's where using a replication ID, a GUID, actually makes sense. It gives you a globally unique identifier you can use across all those different databases. So you generate it once for each person, then you can use that ID in each system. That way, if you ever want to consolidate or sync those databases later or bring them all together into one database, you know that you're dealing with the same customer because they got the same GUID. So yes, that would be one of the few scenarios which I would recommend using GUIDs. Just be careful with how you copy and generate them, and don't let your multiple databases generate their own versions of the GUID. So make sure if you got John Smith at 123 Main Street, blah, 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 it's the same John Smith 123 Main Street in this other database. All right, you still want to be able to have the same GUID, but you have to copy and paste it between them, basically. Usually you use GUIDs for synchronizing remote databases. Let's say you got two people with their laptops. They travel a lot and they don't always have internet access, right? So they've got a list of customers, and let's say they're entering contacts for those customers, right? So, agent A adds in a bunch of contacts and agent B adds in a bunch of contacts, or even orders, right? That way, when they come back to the office and they synchronize their databases, they can import all their new stuff and their auto numbers won't conflict with each other, right? Because if you end your contact table and you're on auto number 100 and they both separately add a new record in their disconnected databases, they'll both get 101. See? So that prevents that kind of a situation. So that's usually the only time I really recommend those is when you're dealing with offline databases that have to be synchronized. But yeah, they're pretty cool. Watch that video for more details. This one goes back a little bit to my little video I did about Quora and how they just completely destroyed my my little access community that I started there. It only had a handful of users, but still, they just got rid of it for no reason. And Luca posted a comment that said, early on, he came across a helpful article that advised against investing yourself heavily in platforms. They called working on platforms digital sharecropping. You're tilling someone else's soil. I get it. I had the same exact problem with Facebook. I spent years building up it happened to my Excel page. I had a Word page and an Excel page and my Access page and an Access group. And just out of nowhere, randomly one day, Facebook just was like, oh, your Excel page, it's gone. Bye. And there's no one to contact. There's no one you can get a hold of there. And yeah, so I don't really try to invest too much in any one social platform. The exception, of course, being YouTube. I love YouTube. YouTube has always been very good to me. Of course, I've got almost 250,000 subscribers now, and all of you guys, that's where you found me probably. And YouTube actually gets back to me if I email, with problems and questions. There's actually a live person there. So I love YouTube, and I will always continue to invest in YouTube. But other social media platforms, no. The only other place I really post stuff regularly that's not automated is my own website. I have some automations where I can, so that when I do post things to my website, they'll get copied over to Facebook and Twitter. I refuse to call it X, and those kind of things. But pretty much, if I can't automate it, I don't even bother anymore with other social media platforms. I tried putting video on TikTok, but that short format just doesn't work. People are just scroll heavy. It's hard to do quality content like I do in short little bursts. I mean, the 10-minute TechHelp video is about as short as I can go and still get a point across. But anyways, I agree 100%. Thank you, Luca, for the comment. Next up, Black Russian says, after watching your videos, I'm confidently saying I'm no longer scared of msaccess. Awesome. Don't be scared. It's easy. It's not that hard. It's just different. It's not like Excel where you can sit down or Word and just start doing it and it makes sense. It's intuitive. Access is not naturally intuitive because you have to put work into designing stuff and setting stuff up first. And then you can make it intuitive once you understand what you're doing. But it's just a different, what's the word they use in business speak? Oh, it's a paradigm shift, right? But yeah, just the more you learn, the more comfortable you'll get with it. Trust me, it's not hard. It's not rocket surgery. Out by 50, it's talking about my Edge browser control videos. He's saying the other issue with emphasis is that any programming that depends on somebody else's page staying the same, so you can programmatically scrape it or interact with it, fill in forms, is very fragile. Yes, I agree 100%. The page owner may just change it because they want to be different And some sites actively despise people scraping and will muck with their pages just to break you. Yes, 100%. Your bank only shows your account balance because they need a reason to attract you to the page to see their ads and offers. I don't know about that. I don't see a lot of ads on my bank or credit card sites. Maybe sometimes. But yeah, everything you said is definitely true. I have automated scripts that I use, whether it's using the Edge browser control or just, I show in a different video how you can launch your web browser, go to a page, and then move around and fill in forms, and use send keys. I know I hate using send keys, but it's the only way you can really interact with something outside of Access sometimes, if it's not like Word or Excel that you can automate it with VBA. So I have scripts that I use, like when I log into my bank website, I can, once I'm logged in, because a lot of them, they prevent you from, automating your login. Then I can click a button and it'll read the page text and figure out what my balance is and all that stuff. But you're right, they make changes once in a while and they screw with it. Even YouTube, believe it or not, I've got a script that does the same thing. I prepare my video, and then I click one button and it fills in all the information on the YouTube upload page. So I don't have to manually type all the, the keywords and the description and the title and all that stuff. And once in a while, they'll just make a tiny change. Like they'll add a little help button or change the tab order slightly, and it messes up my script and I got to revise it. I'd probably say maybe once every 3 or 4 months. But it still saves me time versus having to type all that in manually. You just got to watch it and make sure it's doing the right thing. And as soon as you realize it's stopped, I got a big abort button there I can hit. So when I notice the script isn't following the same instructions that it needs to follow, I hit the abort button fast, and you can just go back and fix it. So yeah, you got to be careful doing any of this kind of stuff. Whether you're reading or writing data, you got to watch, because yeah, they change their interface and you're just done. But not everybody has a nice, easy API that you can work with. So you got to resort to these tactics sometimes. Once in a while, I get a comment from someone that wants to join, but they don't see that blue join button. And that's because YouTube doesn't offer memberships in every country around the world. So if you're in a country that doesn't have YouTube join button right under my videos, then you might have to sign up directly on my website. There's the link right there. And I don't have as many restrictions on my website. So yeah. Fuego says this class was fun, especially with the record set clown. Clown? There's a record set clown too. Does he do parties? I love him. Oh, you mean the record set clone? The clones. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it now. And for the rest of you, if you're not watching my fitness database series because you don't care about fitness, you're missing out on a lot of cool stuff. Fitness is just the backdrop. I'm putting all kinds of stuff in this database. Really cool techniques and stuff. In fact, I'm getting ready to make a video just to tell people, if you're not watching this database, this fitness series, you're really missing out. So go check it out. What are you waiting for? But yeah, the record set clown. I love that. Another comment on that from Jimbo. Loving the series. Keep her coming. I'll keep her coming. Really sad that TreeView control is not a native control. Yeah, it's an ActiveX control. You got to use it. I don't like using outside stuff. Mostly because when you deploy it to other people's machines, you have problems sometimes. If their path and structure and versions aren't all exactly the same, it'll break it. So I try to keep everything, right inside of Access. If it's just for you, if it's something that you're only using on your PC, then don't worry about it. You can use ActiveX controls just fine. It's only a problem if you got to distribute it to other people. And for those of you wondering, I do cover the TreeView in Microsoft Access Developer Level 20. If you guys really, really, really want to see a quick video on using TreeView, I might be convinced, is the word I'm looking for, to do a quick TechHelp video on it. So post a comment down below and let me know that you want to see the TreeView control. Okay. Oh, and if you don't know what the TreeView control is, it's this thing. You can have like people with people under them, like managers and subordinates and all that kind of cool stuff. It's a tree. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Steven. Hope your recovery from surgery goes well. And I'm glad that I can entertain you with my videos while you're in the hospital. So get better soon. As Mark B says, can I add a sub list when a particular text value is chosen from a drop down, a combo box, right? In fact, I did the video titled it drop down because everyone calls it drop down. How do I make a drop down in Microsoft Access? That's called a combo box in Microsoft Access, but that's why I called it drop down. But how do I make a sublist so the user can narrow down their selection even further? Well, just like dropdown is called combo box, all you need to know is the right terminology. This is called a cascading combo box. And I've got several videos on cascading combo boxes. That's where, for example, you pick a state and then the city combo box will only show cities that are in that state, right? You can, what do you say? Narrow down the selection even further, right? Well, there you go. That's what it's called. And I would say so many times when people ask questions, I would bet that if you just knew the right terminology, you could probably find it with a YouTube or a Google search. If you knew it was called cascading combo boxes, but that's why education is so important. So you learn the terminology too, right? It's like an access. People are saying, well, I need to create a form that people can fill out. You know, they want to print it out. But if you know that the proper terminology is, you need to create a report that you can print out that people can then fill out in your office. See, it's learning the terminology. A lot of people, you know, they see that like in Access Beginner 1, I go over some basic terminology. Or even in my Intro to PCs class, I go over basic terminology. This is a mouse, this is a keyboard. You'd be surprised how many people just don't know basic definitions. And so that's why you got to start with that stuff. All right, next up, Project 1 says, I split my database, but Access is still creating multiple files for both the backend and the front end for multiple users. That means all the changes made by individual users are stored in separate copies of the database file. I'm assuming you mean data. Can you advise how to stop Access from creating separate copies of the database file for every individual user? It shouldn't. It shouldn't. If you've split it correctly, you're going to have one front-end database file that's got your forms and reports and your code in it for each user. They'll get their own unique front-end file that goes on their individual C drives, right, their local hard drives. And they will all be linked to one backend file. Okay, everyone works off the same backend file that's got your tables in it. And that way, you're all sharing the data, but you all have your own individual front end. I would suggest start over with a single copy of your database and resplit it, and then you just copy that front end file. Okay? Right? This has got the tables in it sitting on your server, and these are the individual user workstations with the front end files. They should all ideally get ACCDE files, right? The ones that you can't design. And if you'd like to learn more about it, I've got a whole seminar just on splitting your database. This covers all the other questions that people sometimes ask. Lots of different topics covered in this one. So I go over it in a lot more detail. Okay? Next up, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not even going to try. Talking about my accounts payable TechHelp database, he says, is it a good idea to consolidate payments like this on the transaction table or to have multiple payment tables when making general ledger to maintain a cash flow balance? Well, that's completely up to you and how complicated you want to get with it. Now, obviously, in this TechHelp database, I didn't go into making a full general ledger. Right? This video is literally just about payables. It's putting in your bills, knowing when they're due, knowing when you've paid them, what your terms are. You could very easily mix this in together with another database or build onto this one and do accounts receivable too, and then do a general ledger, and then every plus has a minus and all that good, handy accounting stuff. That's up to you. That was, payables was just the focus of this video, so that's all I built into this database. I do also have a full Access Payables seminar that goes into a lot more detail. I still don't do a full general ledger in this one, though, as again, it's focused on just payables. I cover accounts receivable in my full Access Developer course because it's more aligned with running your business as far as, issuing invoices and making sure your customers pay you, the other side of the coin. And then payables is covered in this video. So if you want to tie them together into a general ledger, absolutely. Once you got both things built, it becomes really easy too. And again, if you guys want to see me put together a video on running a general ledger, well, let me know. Post a comment down below. All right, so that's going to about do it for this week. I want to remind everybody to check out my captain's log. That's where I post my, my daily musings, whatever I happen to be thinking about that day. I like to write something every morning. It gets my brain started. Even if it's not necessarily a computer topic, I just like to get the juices flowing. Over the past week, I talked about how ChatGPT just released a version you can run offline. So you can actually set up a computer in your office that's got your own ChatGPT on it. Check that one out. An article on investing in your crew. In other words, employee training is very important. Make sure that you're, appreciating your employees that want to learn more so they can make their jobs more efficiently. Deleting inconvenient data. No, not this data. This data. Right? I've covered this in videos before too. Don't delete old data. Just archive it. I've done a bunch of articles on logical fallacies. For example, discarding an idea as a good idea just because it comes from a questionable source. Quick mention of some Active Directory security and access. MVP Adrian Bell put together a video with accessusergroups.org. So if you're a large organization that uses Active Directory, you can access that security from inside your Access database. Don't give up on understanding. Talking about people who believe there are literal gremlins in their computer or in their Access database that just decided not to work today. 5 stars for whoever pays the most. This one's a scathing review of Yelp because they recently took down one of my reviews that I put up about a company that just blatantly ignores no soliciting signs when they go door to door trying to sell their stuff. So I had some things to say. One of the shows I love, and it only got 1 season, it's 10 years old already, is The Grinder with Rob Lowe. And he's got some crazy things that he does, but he's got a saying, like, people will say we can't possibly win this case. And he'll be like, but what if we could? And it's for comedy, but it makes you think, well, what if you could? So that's an article that talks about that. And finally, if you're dealing with rude people, just calmly ask them, why would you say that? Why would you say that? It makes them reevaluate what they just said. And if they're being rude, they have to justify their rude behavior. So check that out too. So that's all covered in my captain's log. Links right there. Make sure you stop by the homepage to see what's new. Mostly just fitness videos this past week. But again, the fitness videos have lots of regular access stuff in them. It's not just all fitness stuff, folks. And of course, make sure you stop by, check out the merch store, get your hats, get your sweatshirts, get your whatever else I got on there. I don't even know. Your teddy bears. Now, when they have penguins on there that I can put my logo on, then I'll start pushing the penguins. I love penguins. But that's going to do it for today, folks. That's your Quick Queries number 52. Hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button right now and give me a like. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. And make sure you click that bell icon and select all to receive notifications whenever I post a new video. Do you need help with your Microsoft Access project? Whether you need a tutor, a consultant, or a developer to build something for you, check out my Access Developer Network. It's a directory I put together personally of Access experts who can help with your project. Visit my website to learn more. Any links or other resources that I mentioned in the video can be found in the description text below the video. Just click on that Show More link right there. YouTube's pretty good about hiding that, but it's there. Just look for it. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, tables, all that stuff. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? And if you like Level 1, Level 2 is just $1. That's it. And it's free for members of my YouTube channel at any level. Speaking of memberships, if you're interested in joining my channel, you get all kinds of awesome perks. Silver members get access to all of my extended cut TechHelp videos, and there's hundreds of them by now. They also get 1 free beginner class each month, and yes, those are from my full courses. Gold members get the previous perks plus access to download all of the sample databases that I build in my TechHelp videos. Plus, you get access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions and all kinds of source code that I use. And gold members get 1 free expert class every month after completing the beginner series. Platinum members get all of the previous perks, plus they get all of my beginner courses, all of them from every subject. And you get 1 free advanced or developer class every month after finishing the expert series. And you can become a diamond sponsor and have your name listed on the sponsor page on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time.